Hey guys, welcome back to Matthew Vinyl. In today's video, I'll be showing my rare Indian vinyl collection. Now, I don't have the biggest collection of Indian-made records, but I do have a few to show you. And now I do have one shellac 78 from India, and no, unfortunately, it is not a Beatles one. This is Count Basie from 1943, but I believe this is a 50s reissue. It is in the original Indian HMV sleeve, which is pretty cool. Of course, this is on Parlophone, but it's still cool to have the Indian sleeve. Now, I got this at my local record shop not long ago for literally pretty much nothing. So, it's cool to have that. All my vinyl I've got, all of my singles apart from one. I do have one LP, and that is from the 70s, but all of these are from the 60s. First one I have is a Tennessee Waltz by Alma Cogan, backed by I Love You Too Much, Too Much. Now, this is in the original Indian sleeve. Unfortunately, it is a bit ripped. I do actually keep this separate before the video. I've put it together here. But this is pretty cool. Now, my copy is in pretty much near mint condition. Most of my Indian vinyl is in pretty much mint condition nearly. Apart from a few, of course, you will see a few soon that aren't in the best condition. This one is like almost immaculate. Now, of course, Alma Cogan, the girl with the giggle in her voice, she's one of my favourite singers of all time. Of course, most of her big hits from the 50s. But she did have a few songs in the 60s that did decent, and this is one of them. You can actually see a video on YouTube of John Lennon introducing this song on Ready Steady Go. And next up, I do have Billy J. Kramer with From a Window, of course, the Lennon-McCartney song. And it's backed by Second to None, a great B-side. Now, again, this is in pretty much near mint condition. I mean, the only thing wrong with this is that it's got a little bit of sticker residue on the label there. But apart from that, it is absolutely fantastic. I unfortunately don't own the sleeve for this one. And again, of course, with all these Indian ones, they do look pretty identical to the UK labels, but you can tell the differences when you look at the text and everything like that. And of course, they do use the British mixes, so they do sound pretty much the same, but I like collecting them, pretty cool. Now, next up is Bobby Rydell with Chubby Checker. Now, this is Teach Me to Twist, and it's backed by Swinging Together. Now, this A-side, Teach Me to Twist, it's a very good song, actually. Nice, good pop thing, of course. Chubby Checker, known for his multiple songs he did about the twist, but of course, Bobby Rydell adds some cool vocals to this. Now, I did have the original Indian sleeve, but it was really messed up and destroyed, so unfortunately, I had to get rid of it. But I do have this British sleeve, which is pretty identical to the Indian one that I had. Of course, the label does look very similar again to the British one, but you can tell by the text that, of course, it is Indian. And now we have Cliff Richard with Outsider, backed by his great cover of Blue Moon. Now, unfortunately, my centre is dinked, and I do not own the original Indian sleeve because this is the British sleeve. I believe this coupling was only ever released in India, but I believe it might have been in South Africa too. I do know that there is a few Cliff singles that were only issued in South Africa and India. But regardless, it's pretty cool, actually. My copy, it does have a few scratches on it. The camera isn't really going to pick that up. There's a really bad scratch at the end of that track there. But apart from that, it does play through all the way fine. Again, unfortunately, my centre is dinked, but it's still cool to have regardless. Now, there will be a video on my Cliff Richard collection one day soon. I do have a lot of his records, so that will be out one day in the future. Now, next up, we do have I'm Telling You Now by Freddie and the Dreamers, backed by What Have I Done to You, a good B-side. Of course, the song written by Mitch Murray and Freddie Garrity himself, an absolutely fantastic song by Freddie and the Dreamers. Now, this one I did not buy online. Pretty much all my Indian records I've bought online, apart from that shellac. But this I picked up at my local record shop. The owner had a bunch of singles that came in. I think 3 or 4 bags is full of singles. Of course, I went through them, I picked up a lot of them. As expected, a lot of them were UK presses, but there was a few American ones which I didn't pick up, and this was in the bag. So I have no idea how this ended up here like that, but I was not complaining. I noticed straight away that was Indian by the text. I could tell straight away, and when I found it, I was very happy. Now this one, this is in VG plus condition. Again, I don't think the camera's really going to pick up some of the marks on there, but there is a few marks. But apart from that, it played through pretty much perfectly, and it's very cool to have. And again, you know, it is going to sound pretty identical to the British one. But again, I like collecting all this sort of stuff. Yeah, Freddie and the Dreamers, a very underrated group nowadays. And that brings me to another extremely underrated group, Herman's Hermits with I'm Henry VIII I Am, and it's backed by their cover of The End of the World. Now this of course is a very nice Columbia Indian release. This one does look pretty different to the British one, as you'd expect. This one has more text on it, but this one, yes, this one does have a few marks, but apart from that, it is absolutely perfect, pretty much. Now, I got this on Discogs, but yeah, a very good track by Herman's Hermits. And next up, we do have another sort of comedy-ish novelty record. This is Code of Love by Mike San, backed by Are You Satisfied? Now, of course, Mike San is known for the big hit Come Outside with Wendy Richards. This is one of his records that came out not long after that one. Now, this is actually two great novelty songs. Now, of course, my copy is unfortunately dinked, and the B-side label has tear there on the label. Apart from that, the vinyl is in pretty much near mint, very good plus condition. Of course, I actually got this before I got the British one, and again, I got this on eBay. I found it quite cheap on eBay, so I thought I'd pick it up. And there you go. And next up, we do have Peter and Gordon with the John Lennon and Paul McCartney song, I Don't Want to See You Again. And it is backed by I Would Buy You Presents, of course, shortened to I Would Buy on this copy. Now, this is in the original Indian sleeve. I've put it in this protective sleeve here because it is a little bit damaged, but apart from that, it still holds well. Now, this one is probably the cleanest single I've ever seen in my life. It is in pretty much mint condition. I don't think this is hardly ever played. It is absolutely immaculate. Even the labels are completely clean. I'm pretty sure the camera can pick up most of that. It is absolutely fantastic, and it sounds absolutely amazing. It's definitely the best copy of those two songs I own, because I own pretty much all of their stuff, and this beats my American single. It beats the albums I got. It is absolutely fantastic. Of course, Peter and Gordon, one of my favourite duos. I like Chad and Jeremy, of course, they're great as well. But Peter and Gordon are amazing. And now I do have The House of the Rising Sun, backed by Talking About You by The Animals. Now, I did get this on Discogs. Now, this one, I'd say this is pretty much in like very good plus condition. It does have some crackle and pops on it and a few little marks. There used to be like a sticker there, I think, before I owned this. And it's backed by a decent rendition of the Real Charles song, Talking About You, as I mentioned before. Now, of course, House of the Rising Sun, everyone knows the song pretty much. One of the most iconic songs from the 1960s. Great song. It isn't the original sleeve, unfortunately, but it is the Hollies with Stop Stop Stop, backed by a fantastic track of It's You. Of course, both of these tracks were on their album For Certain Because, which is one of my favourite Hollies albums. I think this is definitely up with my Peter and Gordon one, with being in pretty much immaculate condition. Now, this is absolutely fantastic. I bought this from a seller on Discogs a few years ago. £10–15, I think, I can't remember exactly. But I got a very good deal on this, and I say it's in pretty much mint condition, so it's definitely worth more than It's You. The B-side here is such a fantastic song. If you haven't heard it, definitely give it a listen. Of course, Stop 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 is one of the Hollies' most popular songs from the 1960s. Now, for the final single before I get into the final record, which is the LP, this is Tommy Rowe with Dizzy, backed with The You I Need, of course, his smash hit at the end of the 60s. Tommy Rowe had a big hit in the early 60s with the song Sheila. Now, this is his big hit at the end of the 60s called Dizzy. Now, such a fantastic pop song. It's a very good late 60s pop song. And of course, it is back with You and Me, which is a fantastic B-side. Absolutely great. Written by himself there. Now, this is on the nice stateside label. If you're used to seeing the British ones, you could definitely tell straight up that it's Indian by the text and everything. And fantastic. Before I get to the LP, I'm going to mention that these Indian singles definitely weigh a lot more than the British ones. I'm not saying that they're heavy, they're definitely heavy, but they definitely have a bit more thickness compared to the British ones, if you were interested. And now for the final record in this video, it is Band on the Run by Paul McCartney and Wings. Now, this is an original 1973 Indian copy on the Apple label. I don't own any other copy of this album. This is the only one that I've ever owned. The labels did have the photos of them there in the back. Now, on this Indian copy, they didn't do that. They just went for the straight green apple, which is absolutely lovely because I love the actual Apple label. It's one of my favourite labels of all time. Side 2, of course, is on the nice Apple. Now, this, again, is in pretty much near mid condition. All my Indian ones just sound and play absolutely amazing. The only one, again, that is a little bit off was my Hermes single, because again, that one does have a few crackles and pops, and same with my Animals one. But apart from that, nearly every single one I own are in immaculate shape. Now, I got this a few years ago on Discogs. I think about £30 odd I paid for this. Might be wrong though. It's been a while. But I can see there, lovely Apple labels on the nice Indian release. The sleeve, it's like a very thin cardboard, this, and it does have the covers pasted onto it. I suppose it's similar to like an American sleeve in a way, but of course it was made by Garrett Loft House in India. Well guys, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If there's any other records in my collection that you'd like to see, let me know down in the comments below. So yeah, that was my Indian collection. I have shown my South African and Rhodesian ones in the past. I've also shown my Taiwanese bootlegs, and I've shown some of my Australian and New Zealand ones. Please like, subscribe, and peace.